10, we're ready to go.
We are. Welcome to 1010 Talks. Good morning, Tanya.
Good morning, Adiva.
We've been talking for a while already.
I know. Having some great conversations, and I think everybody's going to really enjoy some of the information that we have today and that we're going to be sharing with everyone.
Yes, it's such it impacts us in so many ways, and we just don't realize. And as I was searching and researching more this past few days on the hormone and stress, and it's been really interesting because it was more comforting also for me because it's like happening so much now just with everything that's been happening the last couple of years. I think that we are in more chronic stress, but the cool thing is that we know that and we have remedies for it and what we can do to really just get out of that stuckness of being there, because there are things that we can do. And hormones, we're gonna today share with you, and I'm really excited because I know, Tanya, you have some pretty cool stuff about, we're gonna not just talk about women, but men and children, and that's always a really fun part about our conversations, is that we really help focus on the whole family. It's not just a woman thing.
Yeah, I'm going to share some signs and symptoms later on in our chat. A quick overview for men, for women, for kids, what to look for. And also to keep in mind that, we all handle stress differently.
Yeah.
And not only do we handle it differently, but stress changes as we age over the years. It can get harder as the years go by, or it can get easier depending on techniques that you use. But the most impact that it has, and what we need to be aware of, is that just the potential problems that it causes for our health.
Yeah. It's a good thing. Like stress, our bodies will produce the cortisol, which is a hormone, because of good reasons. We need that. So it helps us in a moment where we need to be focused on a situation that is stressful. And many people know the whole, the fight or flight concept or mode that we get into when we're fearful of something. And that can be something that's truly in front of us, like they talk about, like a lion gonna attack us, or it could be just what we think could happen. So it doesn't have to be true. Your body will still react the same way. So cortisol is a good thing. The issue comes in is when we're in that chronic stress mode, worrying all the time. And that's why we've talked about, and Tanya, you're going to share some more about, the mindfulness and the yoga. And the mind doesn't know the difference between when you're really in a stressful situation, like you're really defending your family or your life, and you're in a situation where you need all that cortisol to happen, to be produced, compared to just in your mind worrying about things. So we're gonna not spend a lot of time on how cortisol works in your body, but really giving you tools on and understanding the impact, the negative impact that can have when you have prolonged stress, and that continue cortisol production that can produce inflammation, which you need inflammation in one sense to protect your body. But then when it's constant, then that inflammation causes a lot of problems, even like, your heart is impacted, your blood pressure is impacted, and your sleep is impacted. So we're going to go over, some of the things to look for that could be induced because of the cortisol level. And we always like to say, what we share with you is information to take and evaluate, but it's not any kind of medical advice. Always encourage you that, if you have any kind of medical concerns, reach out to your doctor. Find a doctor that you can talk to, that will communicate with you and listen to you and give you the options of what's possible out there. So take the information, share it with your doctor. We're not here to give you any kind of medical advice. We just want to open that thought process and give you some tools that you can really manage your lifestyle and have a healthier lifestyle for you and your children. So cortisol can cause havoc in your life, in your body, and make you stay awake, make you lose hair, make you gain weight. It can impair your mental mind as far as your clarity of your thinking, your immune system, muscle weakness, acne. There's so many things, and I know that you have a whole list that you're going to separate more, Tanya, with the men and women to just clarify how men can experiencing things differently, and then with children. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is I love the thought that you brought in the children, that you're going to talk about that today, because as parents or as adults in the children's lives, what to look for, because as little ones, they don't always understand what's going on with them. So as adults in their lives, if we understand what some of the symptoms are, that we could, realize, they might not say, oh, I'm stressed, but we can realize that, what are some things that they can do to de-stress. And I love what you shared last week, what you do and how your little girl only right?
Yeah, Melina, yes, that was last week.
And then the big thing that came up on Facebook that a lot of people were like, yeah, I want to learn more, is hair loss. And I think for women, even, I don't know if I should, maybe not, but anyway, I know.
Go for it. No.
What can I do about the hair loss? And, so we're going to talk about that, but have you share some of that, the men and the women, what to look for, and the children, and let you have it from there. And we can continue our fun part of what to do to counteract all that and heal our bodies after you share some of those symptoms and the great things that you discovered as well.
Yes, thank you. And, when we talk about stress and hormones and the integral role that they play in our overall health, there's a lot of signs and symptoms that could signal a hormonal imbalance. And I just want you to be aware that these signs or symptoms, can depend on, if your hormones or your glands aren't working properly, your amount of stress. So, it can vary very much per person. But I'm going to quick overview of some hormonal conditions that can affect both men and women, and some of the signs and symptoms that you'll see. Or a lot of it is in relation to like weight gain or unexplained or sometimes sudden weight loss, fatigue and muscle weakness or muscle aches and tenderness, or like stiffness in your joints is also a symptom or a sign. And then for some people, it can also be like an increased or a decreased heart rate. Sweating is also kind of like not necessarily hot flashes, which we'll talk about a little bit more with women, but just excessive sweating in general, or increased sensitivity to cold or heat. And then also, pay attention to, we talked a little bit about gut health in the past. So, in relation to bowel movements, whether it be constipation or increased bowel movements or urination. And then you know yourself better than anybody else. So some of these signs and symptoms can also be in relation to, like, if you feel like you've had increased thirst or increased hunger, increased anxiety, even as simple as like irritability, nervousness. Those are all, things that you can pay attention to when it comes to hormonal imbalances. But like Adiva said as well, thinning hair, fine or brittle hair, dry skin, breakage of hair. I know I'm going through a lot of different things, but those are mainly the typical signs and symptoms to look for to start off or to start paying attention to. So just keeping in mind that these symptoms are not really specific, and having them doesn't necessarily mean that you have a hormonal imbalance. The important thing, like I said, is to be really aware, develop that self-awareness, develop that capacity to understand who you are, how you respond to things, and really focus on knowing your body, because we can go to the doctor's office, we can talk to people and say, I feel this and this and this and this. And it could be a medical condition for one person, it can be stress for another person. It really is important to, when you're talking to like a provider or your doctor or somebody that you trust, to understand and saying, well, I know that I don't typically feel this, and now I'm seeing this increasingly even more and more. So when it comes to symptoms in females, specifically females of like reproductive age, the most common hormonal imbalance is all in relation to like hormonal cycle, your ovaries, puberty, pregnancy, breastfeeding, and menopause. But also, heavy or irregular periods or missed periods. Some women even begin to develop like hair on their face or their chin, like excessive. We all have a thin layer of hair on our faces and our chins, especially as we get older, but just more excessive facial hair or on our chin or other parts of our body in general. Acne, sometimes for women, darkening of the skin or skin spots, especially in the neck creases, underneath the breasts or in the groin. And then, like we mentioned before, night sweats, headaches, excessive sweating or cold sensitivity. And then in males, for symptoms in males, testosterone plays a huge and important role in male development. We all know that if you aren't producing enough testosterone, it can cause a variety of symptoms. And that is definitely the biggest hormonal imbalance when it comes to males, especially adult males. So yes, men can also have breast tenderness or the development of breast tissue, which is called gynecomastia, if I remember.
That one, yeah. I've heard of it, but I don't know the name.
I'd have to look up the exact saying of that. For men, it can be decrease in beard growth or body hair growth. So like the opposite of women, where their hair decreases, loss of muscle mass, bone mass, difficulty concentrating, and hot flashes for men as well. So those are some of like the typical signs and symptoms in regards to men, all mostly revolving around testosterone when we're talking about hormones and hormonal imbalance. And then finally, I'll chat a little bit about children. Boys and girls start producing their sex hormones during puberty. And that happens at all different times for children, whether it be 10 years old or 14 years old. And then many children with like delayed puberty will go on to experience normal puberty. Obviously, their bodies will catch up. There's also a condition called I wrote this one down, hypogonadism. Hypogonadism. That was something that I learned. So, for example, boys with hypogonadism can experience a lack of development of muscle mass. I'm reading these because the wording was a little bit tough with children. The hypogonadism. So muscle mass in boys, a voice that doesn't deepen is one of the symptoms. Body hair that grows sparsely, impaired penis and testicular growth, excessive growth of the arms and legs in relation to the trunk, and then the gynecomastia, like we talked about before, which is the breast tissue and the tenderness for men. It's also in boys as well. And then for girls, one of the most common for young girls is just kind of paying attention to when their menstruation begins, and if it doesn't begin by a certain time. And there's such a huge range for that for girls. Like I even mentioned before, I've heard girls as early as 8-9 years old start it, and then some girls, at age 15 or 16. So just kind of look at the trends in your family, generational, or you when you began menstruation, and kind of, be patient with that. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have a hormonal imbalance. If their breast tissue doesn't develop or the growth rate doesn't increase. So it doesn't slowly increase progressively as to when they've started. So those are the main signs and symptoms that I wanted to go over quickly, and we'll go into a little bit more in regards to, what we can do, some tips that we can, why is stress bad for us, and some tips that we can really put into play on our regular everyday lives to help decrease that stress.
Yeah, that's a really great information, Tanya. It's totally why I'm loving doing this with you, is that there's so much information out there, and some of it is like brand new, never came across it before, and some of it is like, oh yeah, I remember those things, and so it is really nice to be able to do this, and hoping that we reach at least one person out there that we can inspire them to take charge of their health and well-being. One of the things I was talking to you about before we got on live is that maybe not everyone realizes that stress, when you think of stress, it could be, the job, or having to do something that you don't normally do, but stress can happen in a lot of different ways. And one of the things that was really important I wanted to share is that making our home a space that is not stressful. If you find yourself having a lot of clutter, just going through the process of decluttering your home, whether it's the one area or all of it, but decluttering that can relieve stress. And it might not be something that everyone thinks about, how do I de-stress? I need to declutter my home. And the other thing is relationships.
Sorry, I'm smiling because I love the decluttering. Oh my gosh, it gives me so much peace in my soul. But then there's people that thrive off of not having everything in its place, and enjoy not having a little bit of clutter. We're also different.
Yeah, we're different. I think I know what I'm like. The message is there is it's like when you become aware of yourself, like you can, like you shared, really becoming aware of how you feel about, how your body is acting or what symptoms you have. It's the same thing when you walk into the room. If you become very sensitive to how it feels to come home, or how it feels to walk into your bath. I love your bathroom with all these signs, by the way.
Oh, I know. You know what? I'm going to have to share that someday.
Yes. Creating things like that, and not based on what other people think, but like making your home decluttered. My message is to feel like when you are in that space, you can breathe, and you like, I want to, when life gets hectic, this is where I want to be. This is the space. We can't always run to the beach like I like to, but just making home that part. So decluttering is, it's a big issue for a lot of people. And there's whole programs you can go through, because usually clutter just stems from other things going on as well. And then also relationships is really how to communicate well with your kids, your spouse, your friends, your coworkers, because that can be a source of stress right there. So those are two areas that I wanted to mention, that maybe a lot of people might not even think about or realize how much stress that causes. And those are areas that can be managed and can be worked on easy, in a sense. I'm not saying it's always like easy.
No, and you know what, I think this would be a great time to talk a little bit as well about how mindfulness really can, practicing mindfulness can really contribute to helping with some of these techniques, and just developing that self-awareness. And being mindful really helps to elicit the relaxation response by just bringing you to the present moment. And it can be an amazing technique to help break that cycle of stress or stressful thoughts. Whether it be doing a meditation or like real-time imagery or visualization, just paying attention to like what you're feeling, your senses, what soothes you. Even something as simple as like holding your cup of coffee and feeling the warmth in your hands and the smell of the coffee and, going down your throat and how that feels. And you mentioned clutter, like mindfully processing through that information, that moment, whether it be taking a shower, decluttering, going for a walk. It can be really difficult to just kind of stop and be present and understand what helps you to relax and de-stress.
Yeah.
And then kind of playing off of that. So in that respect, in regards to mindfulness and yoga, just the amazing benefits that it has on our health and wellness.
Any kind of exercise is incredible. The yoga, like you're saying, with the mindfulness, it just calms the whole body down. It's and it takes practice. You get better at it. It's like riding a bike. Like we hear mindfulness a lot nowadays, and some people are like, what is mindfulness? If it freaks you out, that means you need it more.
I think when it freaks people out, I like to explain that there are so many different modalities that you can use more than just medicine to really like integrate your lifestyle into something that works for you. So, a lot of these techniques are integrative, like I said, complementary. It's taking one thing and another thing and another thing, and how that whole really makes you whole as a person.
It's like building a house.
Yes, exactly. It's like building a house. I love that.
Build a house with just bricks or just wood or just it's just not going to be a solid one if you need that combination. And the mindfulness, even I loved your coffee, holding your coffee cup idea, because I had read something similar to that a while back, is when you're driving, just like sense how the steering wheel feels in your hand, or look at the trees, or look at another car and you look at the colors and like, what does that color make you feel like that car? Or, look at things that we normally miss when we're driving. So you can be mindful anywhere. And then laughter, and you mentioned, I can't remember exactly what you just said, but it made me think of, laughing, just even like fake laughing for a little bit will get you to laugh at yourself some more. And it's really
amazing. I heard something before. I heard a quote before. I don't remember where. I might have to look this up again. But the quote was basically how laughter has been referred to as like internal jogging.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like, oh my gosh, it's such a cool way to explain it.
Yeah.
It helps to heal, and it reduces those stress hormones, and it's like you're jogging your whole body. It's so cool.
It's like the shaker machines we had in our center, it just makes your body move. We need to do a laughing yoga here one time. But and like all the things we're talking about, because I keep having this thought of how many people were concerned about hair loss, and I wanted to spend a little extra time on that, because all that we're going to mention also about the diet and vitamins is going to help with that. But think about when your body is under stress and it's creating this chemical reaction in your body. If you have this visual and it impacts your hair, it impacts your whole body. So your hair under stress, your hair is going to fall out. as one of the symptoms. But what's important is that you definitely want to brush your hair every day, because I even remember like when my hair used to fall out a lot, it's like, oh, I don't even want to brush it because I'm afraid like all that hair is going to be lost. But the more you brush it, the more energy it gives you your scalp. There's blood circulation that goes in there. Make sure you're using products that are in harmony with nature. And I wanted my hair stylist who owns a salon here, Terry, to come and chat with us a little bit about that, but she wasn't available today. But use the products that are natural, don't have a lot of chemicals in them. We also have a couple of products with Shackley, the shampoo and the conditioners that are really good. So it makes a difference what you're using on your body, as well as taking in as far as your diet and all that. Make sure you stay away from chemicals. Air out your hair. If you have it always in a bun, or if just try to air it out so it has, think of it as like opening up the windows in your home. Just brush your hair, minimize the chemicals, or quit putting chemicals on your hair. That was one of my biggest thing with just letting my hair grow out naturally, is like I was tired of dyeing it, and I think about but now they do have some pretty cool, pretty natural dyes that you can use for your hair. So
yes, shout out to Terry and at Ipodaro Salon, because I've referred so many people there. Amazing. They do wonders, and everything is all natural.
Yeah.
No chemicals. You talk about hair thinning and hair loss, and I think about, they knew what they were doing back in the day, because you think about like Bridgerton type times. I can't even think of what that would be. Bridgerton, the show.
No,
or like really way back when they used to washing your hair, it takes time, and you have this special brush and 150 strokes every night, and you brush your hair. And I think about that, I'm like, they knew what they were doing back then.
Yeah, they knew about a lot of stuff. And I think we got into this fast-paced, want everything quick kind of life that has taken us away from being in harmony with nature, really connecting with each other, and being in a community that helps. How awesome it is to have someone brush your hair for you too, like how relaxing that can be for some people. Yeah. But one of the supplements, and I know that you've seen great results, and so have I, is the
collagen.
The what?
Collagen 9?
The collagen 9. And it's collagen 9 because Shackley has all 9 is it amino acids are in there?
Yes, because most collagen supplements only have like the 8, but Shackley has the 9th one that really facilitates the process of binding.
Yeah.
To really make the most of
collagen 9. And I know that even has grown so much since using that.
Mm-hmm.
So collagen 9 is great for your cells. Oh, so talking about cells, I gotta mention this real quick. The little Meology kids, it has a little saying on each one, like a good fact today. And I take them myself. I love them, like a little snack, and fill in the gaps with vitamins. It says you produce 3.8 million new cells each second.
What?
I know. And I was like, whoa.
0.8 million every second?
It says each second. I know. You produce 3.8 million new cells each second.
Wow.
And I'm like, is that what it says? I just read that. I haven't been reading each one every day, so I haven't read all of them. But when you think our whole body is made out of cells, right? And we've got to feed it. Down even how it impacts your hair. So the collagen 9, also eating foods that will help as an anti-inflammation, because cortisol causes inflammation. It has a lot of inflammation going on, that you want to eat foods that will help with reducing the inflammation, and things like that have vitamin B in them. So if you eat meat, beef has vitamin B, chicken, Also fortified whole grain eggs that all has vitamin B in it. And then we have the B complex with shakli, which is, I call it the happy vitamin, and I love that.
Yes.
The omega-3, is it, you like, do you take the B complex? I take them before I go to bed, and I sleep much better.
Yes, the little yellow pills.
I know, happy like sunshine and sunflowers.
I'm happy, yep.
And then the omega-3 fatty
pills, that probably came out wrong.
Oh no.
You know what I mean.
We call it the Be Happy.
Yes,
the Be Happy vitamins. Oh, that's we're okay. We're selling those happy pills. We might have to cut that out of our recording. Oh, that's too funny.
Okay.
The fatty acids, the omega-3 fatty acids, we can get that from fish and salmon. The big thing, it's hard to get clean fish and salmon. It's great. I love salmon. I love fish. Sardines, but you can also get them from like walnuts and flax seeds and olive oil. And a supplement, actually the kids' vitamins that I love to take, the little chewables, they taste great, and it has the little gel of the omegas in there. Magnesium is a big one to take. Magnesium is great. It helps you sleep better. It's great for your muscle, because we talked about how the cortisol impacts also can get muscle fatigue, you mentioned.
Yeah.
And then it also reduces inflammation like crazy. You can also find it naturally in foods like avocados, bananas, broccoli, spinach. So the bananas, the big thing usually is realizing that some of them have it has a lot of sugar. So just don't eat like 20 bananas in one day.
Yeah.
But that's a good source of magnesium. I remember actually my mom would have one banana before going to bed, and it helped her with cramps in her legs. Yeah. And then protein, of course, every cell needs protein to be built. So since we make 3 million new ones every second,
that's exactly why I drink my protein shake at least every morning, because that's one of the things that I have a hard time with, is getting in enough protein. And I think people in general feel like that a lot as well, or they've expressed that to me. And the clean protein shakes make a world of a difference.
And the clean is such a big point, because really, like, go after a product that is really tested and it's clean, and it's, it doesn't have all these fillers in it, because you're putting it in your body. I mean, it's like building a house, and you're gonna get concrete that is, I know there's some sand probably in concrete, but there's a lot of fillers in there. And what's going to happen to your home when your concrete is not solid, and you're in there, and it's going to fall apart. So really invest your time and energy to find that resource. And we share Shaklee because we've been, between the two of us, we've been close to using 35 years worth of experience with Shaklee.
Wow.
So it's not much more expensive. That was a big thing. When you're looking at expense, you can spend a lot more on nutritional supplements from somewhere else than you can with Shaklee. You can spend a lot less, but you really want to just do your own research. Just really dig in, because this is you're building your body, your physical well-being, and where you want to be when you get older. And stress just it tears our bodies down, and we're under a lot of stress on a regular basis. Probiotics is a big one, and 70% of our immune system, and we talked about that last week, is in our gut. And good probiotics helps with that. You can get it in foods like yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, kombucha. So those are foods that you can eat. But again, also make sure it's a good source, that it's not yogurt that's full of sugar, then you're, defeating the purpose of it. Like, yogurt at home, I want to try to make that. My mom used to make it all the time. I don't know. Have you ever made yogurt at home?
No, I never have.
So my Instapot has a setting for yogurt, so I want to try that. And I hear that it's the best. Once you do it on the Instapot, people in groups that I'm in, they said like, you'll never go back to store-bought yogurt. So,
you should make me some.
Yes, I'm gonna make some. I tried the first time and I messed up the recipe a little bit and it stayed liquid. It didn't turn into yogurt. So
yeah.
I have to try it again.
A couple of times.
Things to avoid is, processed food, simple carbs, sugars, lots of caffeine. Now, caffeine in small amounts can be really good, but just excessive amounts of caffeine and soda and alcohol can just put your body under stress. Mm-hmm. And what we're trying to do is allowing the body to heal from all the impact of the physical and mental stress that we're going under. So we want to balance it out. And sometimes, we talk about, I've heard that, and at some point I was like, no, I'm not going to have my cheat days anyway. It's okay to have something and not beat yourself up for it if it's, it's like, okay, well, I shouldn't have eaten that. But instead of calling it your cheat day, because then you're mentally like, oh, okay, it's okay to cheat. And then the cheat day becomes 2 cheat days, and then 2 cheat days become, and then we're allowing yourself, but just be good to yourself if you mess up and eat or drink things that that just made you feel awful, instead of like saying, okay, on Sunday I'm gonna drink all the sodas and the caffeine and the alcohol and the sugars that I want because it's my cheat day. Because then we're programming our mental, our subconscious is like, it's okay to cheat, and that becomes a bad thing. But my main point is, it's like, yeah, we all have times that we eat something and realize like, okay, that was just way too much. Then just give yourself grace and be kind to yourself, with the goal of, I remember we used to drink so much soda. We used to, like, our grocery shopping would be soda. It was like we'd pack different. And now, honestly, I don't remember the last time I drank a soda. It's so crazy to think. And there's no way. Like, I remember when we were cutting back, I was like, I can't do this. I just can have one,
Yeah.
It's okay to have. But now it's so crazy to look back how you can change and you can really improve your lifestyle in a way where it benefits you and then your family. The other 2 things is biotin and zinc are really important. Zinc is really good for acne, by the way. That I've heard some really good stories about that too. Yeah, so that's sometimes it's the lack of zinc that can cause acne. So you talked about acne caused by stress, and then one of the good vitamins to take supplement is the zinc and biotin. Biotin is found in the B, so I take the B complex, and it has all the B's in there, and they're water soluble. So it's one of those things where I feel comfortable. I'm not going to take too much. I mean, if I take it, it's just going to be wasted. But what I think I shared that with you one time is that someone had told me, an example, if you're running late, like 10 minutes behind in the morning, trying to get somewhere, your body uses all your B's because of the stress that you're under. So that always stuck with me. It's that, so if you're under a lot of stress, B complex is an awesome product. And all those together help with your skin, your hair, your energy.
Not only the B complex, but like in my personal experience, the B complex as well as the stress relief.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. Like I've struggled with anxiety, the better part of my life, and that stress relief. I don't remember off the top of my head what exactly is in it, but
ashwagandha.
Yes, that's what it's called. The
ashwagandha. Remember, I went to the physical last Friday, and the doctor recommended that, and I was like, this is the woman for me.
Yeah.
It's an herb. It's amazing, isn't it?
It is. It is amazing. And I know that I can, especially if I have like, sometimes if I'm doing like something that causes me a little bit of stress or anxiety, whether it be like doing a new workshop or a training, or, really putting myself out there for the, just little things that trigger stress in life. That stress relief really helps to really show my confidence without having that level of anxiety. Because I know I have it. I know the stuff. I know I can do it.
Right.
It's just that fight or flight response that triggers, that kind of makes your mind go blank.
Yeah.
So yes,
that is
another one
a huge one. I'm glad you brought that up, because it's not a regular like vitamin type thing that was mentioned, but it's so true. It's so true. And it just goes to show you, I don't know what you think, but it's like how our mood is connected directly to what we eat and don't eat and our sleep. And there's so much mental anguish out there that, we're dealing with so much stress, that connection between just giving our bodies the nutrition, the nutrients that we need. And I love what you said is like, the information, but then when the stress kicks in, is like your mind is like, how do I get it all out? And then when you just give your body. But
and you were just talking about just being positive, and positive thoughts really just help boost positive emotions. It's really all it comes down to. And when you're self-critical, when you're self-critical and you start second guessing, that automatically activates the stress response. It's but on the flip side of that, think about like if you give yourself praise and support and grace. That's my word of the year, grace.
Yeah.
I love that, and it's one of the things that I've started implementing all the time. If you just give yourself grace and understand that you're human, just like everybody else. One of my fellow yoga teachers, who was a student with me, she talks about how, she wanted to really expand her business and this and that. And, when it comes down to it, her main decision for not doing so was that she's not looking to be famous in life. She is just looking to have like we were talking about, the support and be happy and fulfilled as a whole.
Yeah.
So really focusing on, we're getting a little off track, but it all ties into stress.
Right.
What are your goals? What are you looking for?
Yeah.
You really need to, go that route. You're smart and strong. You've done bigger things before. If it doesn't go your way, you did the best you could.
Right.
End of story.
Yeah. Just be happy where you are. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So talking about this, you talked about grace.
Yes.
Grateful. This book is awesome. Is it the right way around? Can you read?
Joy, yeah, by Danielle Delgado.
Yeah. And it covers the gratefulness, your goals. So it's gratitude, goals, growth. So things that you learned, and then grace, the 4 G's. And it's really, so like what you learn each day, something you read, something you heard, and then your goals, long-term, short-term, just today. It's a really awesome book to, and just every day you write, what you're grateful about. And it's amazing how it transforms me, having a crazy day and just thinking about all the things that I'm grateful for. I have a chair to sit on, like how simple is that? And sometimes we take that for granted.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you brought that up, and especially the ashwagandha, that stuff, that stress relief complex is the key. And maybe that's a good note to wrap things up with.
It is a good note to end on. And, I don't know. I think it's just really important that, for me, I just want to end by saying, just, I guess, try to put things in perspective and ask if, like, the cause of your stress, will it matter in a year from now? Will it matter in 6 months from now or next month? That helps me a lot. To really sit back and be like, okay, why am I freaking out over this? Or why is it causing me so much stress? It's not worth it in the long run. And just really putting it into perspective.
And realizing, like you said, that sometimes we are stressing out because the chemical changes. And if we're able to, drink more water or take our I'm such a big believer in supplementing or eating something healthy, getting some rest. It's okay to sleep and don't feel like you're being lazy. If you're listening to your body and you're being honest with yourself that you need the rest, compared to, finding excuses to escape life, then rest. But realizing that, you can't think clearly when you don't have the right food in you and the right amount of sleep and the exercise and taking care, and just give yourself grace and go do all those things.
My mentor says, create the life that you don't need to escape from.
Oh, nice. That's perfect. Create the life you don't need to escape from.
Yeah.
Perfect. And go brush your hair 100 times. I love that. I do remember something about that before, brushing and the brushing. So as always, reach out to us. Being in a community of people that support you and, have the same mindset and really want to live well is really important. And that's what we're here for. We want to be your support. We want to be your cheerleader. We want to be your, inspire you and empower you. So go out there and be that to others. Take care of yourself, because that's how others see you. And then you're going to empower others yourself.
You all want to be independent, but it's okay to ask a friend or a family member to just listen to your concerns, because, even sometimes just relieving a simple burden, whether it be physical or mental, whatever it is, emotional, it will help reduce that stress.
Yeah, we're people. We need communities. We need others that love us and that we love and we can count on.
Yes. And we love you all.
And we love you for sure. I love you for sure. Right. Start each day with love in your heart. That's one of the scrolls that I'm reading. I love that one. Start each day with love in your heart. And so we'll see everyone next week.
Yes.
Thanks for everyone that hopped on. And we'll get this recording all set up. You'll find it on YouTube. You'll find it on Spotify, on Anchor, the podcast. And we'll also have it on Facebook for you. So until next time, we'll see you later. And
Bye.
And then on Fridays at 10:10.